North Carolina Mutual and Provident Association. The early history. North Carolina Mutual and Provident Association started in 1898. The pinnacle of Durham Black Wall Street was represented in a significant way by success of the North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company. In 1910, Mutual was heralded as the largest Black-owned business in the world. The town of Durham, North Carolina was not your typical Southern prototype. Booker T. Washington remarked that in the city of Durham, Blacks benefited from a general atmosphere of cooperation, support, and tolerance from white business leaders. Not to say they were not faced with racism, for Durham was not an antebellum plantation hub. It sought to be a robust, progressive town with an eye on making money. John Henry Merritt was born a slave in Clinton, North Carolina in 1859 and freed by the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. He was an industrious young man. When his family relocated to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, he found work in a brickyard. In Raleigh, at the age of 18, he became a hod carrier, advanced to brick mason, and worked construction at Shaw University. He also got a job as a shoe shiner in a Raleigh barbershop. There, he learned the barbering trade. In 1880, his friend, John Wright, enticed him to move to Durham to work for him at a new barbershop. 6 months later, he bought shares in the shop as co-owner. In 1892, Merritt became sole proprietor of his first barbershop. He went on to own, some say 6 and some 8 shops. 1 year later, while working as a barber, he began investing in Hayti properties. Around that time, Merritt became friends with Dr. Aaron Mcduffie Moore, who was the first Black doctor in Durham. Moore was born free in Rosendale, North Carolina in 1863 to a family of yeoman farmers. He attended schools in Lumberton and Fayetteville, North Carolina, and earned a medical degree from Leonard Medical School at Shaw University in Raleigh. He moved to Durham in 1895, set up a medical practice, then began investing in new Black businesses with the goal of building the Black community and providing skilled jobs for the people while enhancing education opportunities. That year, Moore invested in the Durham Drug Company, similar to Richard Fitzgerald's pharmacy pictured here. Fitzgerald headed one of the wealthiest Black families in Durham. While Moore's pharmacy never made much of a profit, earnings was not Moore's chief motivation. His priority was to provide affordable medication to the Black community. Moore believed in the Negro business movement as a means to achieve racial self-sufficiency, self-fulfillment, and independence. John Merritt and Dr. Aaron Moore spearheaded the formation of the North Carolina Mutual and Provident Association in 1898. They reached out to P.W. Dawkins, D.T. Watson, William Gaston Pearson, E.A. Johnson, and James E. Shepard to invest $50 each in Durham's need for life and accident insurance. Later, R.B. Fitzgerald, J.A. Dodson, G.W. Stevens, and Stanford L. Warren became investors. All of these men were business and community builders. From day one, giving back to the community was paramount. The motto, "The company with a soul and a service," was their mission. They pledged that they would immediately honor benefit payments for accidents, sickness, and death. The doors swung open on April 1st, 1899. Merritt was named president and Moore vice president and medical director. Moore rented out 2 rooms of his medical offices to the association for $2 a month. Walter B. Ware wrote in Black Business in the New South, The Social History of North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company. The first month was anything but heartening. The company reported total commissions of only $1.12. By the end of the second month, there were a total of 300 policies in force, but mostly nickel-a-week premiums or 20 cents a month. The company was betting $1.60 a week that policyholders would remain healthy and $20 that one would not die. But 1 month after opening, the first claim came in May and the first death in August 1899. Premium income grew to $50 a month with agents selling and collecting premiums in 15 towns. This was supervised by Doc Watson, one of the original investors who was named full-time general manager. He was paid 50% of the agency's profits after sales agents' commissions. They made it to year 1900, 1 year in business. Premium income at the end of 1899 was $595.49, but expenses came to $335.85. By the summer of 1900, claims began to mount. Merritt and Moore had to dip into their own pockets to bail out the company, but Watson had had enough. He resigned in June and left Durham. In July, several other investors left. These were difficult times for Merritt and Moore. Although they were involved in other businesses, they had families to provide for and were actively involved in civic interests and community building. Neither claimed to be wealthy at this point. Honestly, they were not optimistic about regaining their investments in the mutual and feared more indebtedness. However, they believed in their hearts that this was a company with a soul and a service, that they could not and would not desert their policyholders. They believed as Black men with integrity that they could not let their people down or discredit the reputations of Black men in business. Enter Charles Clinton Spalding. Born in 1874, he was the nephew of Dr. Moore. Spalding was born in Columbus County, North Carolina. As a young man, he made his way to Durham. He found menial jobs, first as a dishwasher, later as a clerk in a grocery store, promoted to general manager. When Mutual opened, Spalding was hired as a part-time insurance agent in 1899. When Watson resigned, they turned to this bright upstart. In 1900, he was promoted to general manager. Spalding is credited as the savior of North Carolina Mutual and Provident Association. His youth, determination, and make-it-happen force of will won the day. But it was not easy. Ware wrote, he was a one-man staff at the 2-room office located at 121 and a half East Main Street. He came to work early in the morning, rolled up his sleeves, and did janitor's work. Then rolled down his sleeves and worked as an agent. And a little later in the day, he put on his coat and was general manager. Spalding sold policies everywhere, even to the man standing next to him on the street. Year 1901, and more challenges. Again, Merritt and Moore loaned the company $300 each to pay off debts and to buy out the interests of the remaining partners, Pearson, Watson, and Shepard. Thus was formed the triumvirate: Merritt, Moore, and Spalding, a winning team. Year 1902. The losses continued. In February, sick and death claims totaled $400, and they only took in $300 in premiums that month. Merrick and Moore once again bailed out Mutual with another $300 each. But C.C. Spalding was relentless in his efforts to save Mutual through sales and better management. By the summer of 1902, faith in him by Merrick and Moore was vindicated. In December of that year, he had agents in 50 towns and premiums of over $600 a month. They were so proud of their accomplishments, they noted on their 1907 letterhead, North Carolina Mutual and Provident Association, greatest Negro insurance company in the world, and largest Negro insurance company in the world with $5 million in insurance sold. And in fact, by 1910, North Carolina Mutual was heralded as the world's largest Negro business. In this 1902 photo of young C.C. Spalding, he works in their office with one employee, a female clerk named Dora Whitted. Working together are pictured Spalding and Moore, with Susan Gill Norfleet as clerk. Unlike many businesses in the early 1900s, Mutual recognized the value of male and female employees. In 1912, of the 20 full-time office staff, 11 were women, many with college degrees or college attendance. And they were not just clerks. Viola Thompson, hired in 1920, later ran the finance department and was elected first female board member. Sadie Tanner Moselle, the first Black female PhD in America, worked with Thompson from 1921 to 1923. In 1915, Mutual had 700 employees, 4 of them white. At that time, their partnership with Mechanics and Farmers Bank activated greater economic development in Durham and the communities they served. The Parish Street Home Office was expanded and housed operations from 1921 to 1966. Mutual was always rooted and grounded in community. In addition to partnering in Durham Black business growth, the company extended its reach in the 1920s to promote North Carolina College, now North Carolina Central University, the YMCA and YWCA, the Boy Scouts, White Rock Baptist Church, St. Joseph AME Church, and many other churches and organizations. They were instrumental in establishing Lincoln Hospital and Stanford Warren Library. They funded new homes in several Black communities. In 1919, when John Merritt died, the company name was changed to North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company. Dr. Moore assumed the presidency until his death in 1923. C.C. Spalding became president and held the position until his death in 1952. For close to 30 years, he presided over Mutual, leaving over $40 million in assets. Under his leadership, North Carolina Mutual became a clearinghouse for Black politics, education, and philanthropy in the Upper South. And by 1937, it was one of the state's largest businesses. Spalding was a member of President Herbert Hoover's Federal Relief Committee and the National Urban League. He supported the early efforts of the NAACP and was active in forming the Durham Committee on Negro Affairs. Following in the wake of Merrick and Moore, he endorsed Booker T. Washington's National Negro Business League. In the 1940s, North Carolina Mutual wrote group insurance for such industrial concerns as Ford Motor Company. By 1945, it was worth $14 million and declared a dividend to policyholders from a $1 million surplus. It invested $4.5 million in U.S. government bonds during World War II, and officials watched with pride as the Liberty ship SS John Merritt was christened at Wilmington, North Carolina. When Asa T. Spalding became president in 1958, he guided North Carolina Mutual through the social upheavals of the 1960s. He presided over the 1966 opening of the building we admire today, the Mutual Plaza Building, then one of the tallest buildings in Durham. Hubert Humphrey, Vice President of the United States, attended the dedication ceremony. Joseph W. Goodloe became president in 1968. He steered the company to its $1 billion insurance in force level in 1971, making Mutual the first Black-managed business in America to achieve that distinction. In 2006, Mutual operated in 23 states and the District of Columbia and had assets of $151 million with $12.5 billion worth of insurance in force. Durham Black Wall Street was the hub of Black businesses and financial services during the late 1800s and early 1900s. Located on Paris Street, home of Mechanics and Farmers Bank and North Carolina Mutual. On the Paris Street memorial sign, Merritt, Moore, and Spalding are noted as significant factors. Read the details of this history in Black Business in the New South, The Social History of North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company by Walter B. Ware.